friends who also kept on pouring on us, their expression of love, calling us Barka da Sallah. It's in Ghana that you find this. I mean, Reverend sent me a very wonderful message, and you also did. And some of in fact, yesterday, Archbishop Palmer Buckle, he called me on the phone. I was driving somewhere. He said, "My brother, yes, I have called you. Can you send my message to my father that I wish him the best?" Because he said his colleague bishops called him. Have you sent your best wishes to your father? He said, "Hey, I'm a bad boy. Let me quickly." I mean, these are things that we love so much. In fact, the presbytery of the presbytery of the Presbyterian Church on the eve of the celebration came to Paul Love, on the chief imam, came with gifts, gifts to the chief imam, and this Nakwa of the Church of Israel, also was there. I mean, those things are things that further enhances our interfaith and harmony and mutual respect, mutual solidarity, and all those things. And I think that as I congratulate Muslims, I'm also thankful to all our Christian friends and brothers who have been pouring love on us. Yeah, and I do so strongly on behalf of the Chief Imam.
Awesome. Thank you. Very good. Good to have you here with us. And Eid Mubarak to the Muslim fraternity worldwide.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Well, let me congratulate you once again. Yesterday you cited my home. We're watching him on GTV yesterday speak about the essence of the significance of the celebration, and it was a long program.
Yes.
It was hosted by Thelma. Thelma yesterday, and as we watch it, towards the end, he started greeting his friends, and Lawrence Tete was mentioned. Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. You can mention the house here. Already we're watching as a few ministers of God. I said, God, the way to convert people is very easy. People just follow, but you spoke very well yesterday. And the fact that when you finish yesterday, as we watch you, you continue from GTV here to the Independence Square, and you were also the one who did the interpretation between His Excellency the President and the Chief Imam. I think that was very bad.
Thanks so much.
We want to say congratulations. We wish you all the best. And let me use this medium to say that let us learn as a people to live in unity. There is no need for us to be too stringent of identification, even though we are diversified in thoughts, in mind, and also in tradition or in religion. Let's learn to create a place of convergence. There must be a great place of convergence for us as a nation, and that's how we can move on. And as a sheikh, I remember Shaibu rightly said, these things only happen in Ghana. For those of us who have had a chance to travel around some other part of the world, it's not there. Next week, I'm going to the UK, and I'll be speaking in Liverpool and also in Isle of Man. Do you know where Isle of Man is?
It's in the ocean.
Well, I don't know. I was asking you.
Yes, Isle of Man is part of the United Kingdom, but they even have a separate passport. They put the islands on the passport. Isle of Man is in between England and Ireland, and it's a very small country that has about 80,000 people. Small island, but that is where a lot of money is. Most Africans, especially politicians, they go and dump their money there. And when people send their money, they say it's so safe. But it's a community that it takes you 3.5 hours by ship to Isle of Man. It's Isle of Man and Isle of Wight. You can Google it and read it. And the interesting thing is that the people there are very much united. You see people from all shades. But it's a very blessed community.
Sure.
But having said, I was even talking about Liverpool and Leeds before I went. You go to Liverpool and Leeds, what we see in Ghana, they don't have it. Where you have a lot of Muslim community and a lot of Christian community, and they are very much segmented.
They don't come together.
What we do in Ghana now is very good. It helps the cohesion of the country. So please don't be too strong on your faith to forget about the community we live in. Let's live together as a people. And I want to say congratulations to Chief Imam, who is going to be 105 years soon. 105 years. For all his years, he's believed in unity of the people of Ghana. He was celebrating one of his milestone birthday. He went to the church to be prayed for. A lot of fanatics who were Muslim, who didn't understand, they felt it was wrong. But I sat back and I told my wife, Barbara, that this is a wise thing to do. It's a lesson learned. And I've decided that next year, the Eid, I'll be coming.
Great.
Be my clerical, and I'll be there.
We'll host you there.
And so we want to pray that this unity continue. Nigerians really envy us when they see the way Ghana Christians and Muslims and we live together. This morning I've not eaten because I know by now there's a lot of meat and food for me.
There was a guy who sent a message to one of my colleagues, and I read it and I was really angry. I was going to read the entire message out, but I thought, you know what, I'll just chill. So he says, why are we dressing like Muslims? Yesterday we all wore the robes and the hats. Why are we dressing like that? We should allow the Muslims to dress the way they dress, and we should also dress the way we dress. And I was really getting really ticked off last night before I was going to sleep.
Let me say that.
And I just didn't understand that guy. I promised I was going to read everything up, but I just changed my mind.
Let me say that
I don't want to get
as a pastor. Maybe it will come for me to make sense. We serve God, not man. And we are supposed to relate to one another. As a matter of fact, we should use even our religion to make friends. And that is how people will see the love of God. Would Jesus have dressed like a Muslim? Would Jesus have dressed like a Damani man? Would Jesus like dress like an Englishman? As a matter of fact, Jesus went into the people and he says, when you even go to Rome, you do what the Romans do. Sometimes we should be able to bend and not be too stringent. My faith and Sheikh's faith are different faith. But we have cohesion, we relate. And that does not mean that we've changed our stance. But let us not get to that place where we even create problems. And it's even happening in our politics today. And if we don't take care, we lose the benefits of the God runner we serve. Let's love one another. And King Kaf, don't be upset. Sometimes people sit in the comfort of their room and they write and they do things and they lambast you.
All right. So I won't be upset.
Yeah.
All right.
If some of us, I mean, if you know the things that are said about some of us, then we should not even leave. Where to hear where some people say I cannot even go to England. Next week I'm going to Isle of Man. And we are flying a nice private jet.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I'm cool. Reverend and Sheikh, thank you so much. We're still in the Salah spirit, and so we're going to give you a feature right now in connection with the festival, which we are still celebrating. I heard today is the day proper, right?
Yes. It's going to continue for 3 days.
All right.
It's a 3-day stretch.
Okay. All right. So this is a feature brought to you by Maltiti Saida Sadiq. She went out and about, and here it comes. Eid Mubarak to you.
The Nima market is Eid al-Adha celebration, and we're gauging the mood. Now we're looking at the prices of items, especially the items that pertain to how the celebration is done. We're here with Hajia, who deals in male apparel, what we call jalbab, and female as well. But she's going to tell us the cost of these items as of the last Eid, that's Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Hajia, tenanda marhaba. So, alanye abayanum dabdinama.
Yes, 600.
Okay.
Kawamanya 650.
650.
Five dinner goma.
Okay.
650.
Okay.
Ama yunuma goma tira ko army 400. So the men no shama dan papa dama da kane. Har din dalma da den wazuwa no konyo chuma ne. Da den wo kanirba ko mu lete dara pa abdini kadar nyunkura dini kadar bihdini to yunu ma me dibin titi to amma ta fara ta malala fe kamal nyevle.
Basically, as you're saying that the male attire as of last year was 400 cedis, but now it's 600 cedis plus. Last Eid, that's Eid al-Fitr, months ago, she said this market was packed, even though it was a fasting. But this time around, it looks like there are not so many people in the market. Looks like it's the hard times that is causing this. But she says we have life, and so we have hope, and so we are thanking God. Ajia,
250.
Okay. Yeah, the yerna.
Maka. Makaka tijerle.
Okay. So Ajia also sells other things. This is Zamzam water. Now, if you are familiar with the Abrahamic story of how Ishmael and Isaac and their mothers, Ishmael and Hagar, were cast out, they went to the desert and God provided a well which gushed forth with water. And up to date, that well is somewhere in Saudi Arabia. And so this water comes from that well. And people bring it to Ghana to sell for people to drink and use. Kala de dara. So
Dinyala amfani kwam. So bin shakam hali ayi kala fe antonun ayi soyi kanne bin to dana tunun zan suo kwam duzu amfani binin yale ka sokam yukul boron to dale zace ta zan zalajiya bin shakam yitukul pago onyala ngono to yelina ntu yusi.
Okay. Alan kware tasbaji awon champa sibaga sai aja da su.
Tasbaga ta kwahara. Da malafana pam dille malafana din zamzam ma za da malafana kar ma to kurvarle kana wunta ya tashan to so da malafana pam na da dan kul dale zan no sare so to varla ne da ne bada da zamzam ko ma kam ni tasba ma ni zalladiya ma ni ijabin ma karnin amfani zan ci da damka.
Okay, so basically she is saying that aside from this water, she has the tasbih. The tasbih is like the rosary. So you recite something when you're, counting the pearls and you meditate. So it's all to just keep you grounded in your faith. And so she's encouraging that Muslims should come and then buy them. But she does say that it is moving. The business is moving steadily. And finally,
Important sister, which are Makajawabu. Ajawabu Tanaman Puropa. Now, Nutabasa Makama. Now, Nakabara from Mali. Now, no Kusabanana Lati. A pouring Yanama Nekayina. I'm pouring there. The Zavza. I'm pouring Yana. Bunny for common ceiling. Forage Shatan, Forage Maria. Mporo so kam gunyula ndeba ba mpura alisabrato mpura mporo so kam
Bazaumi at the point she says she's from Yendi but she's just wishing people of Bushegu, Yendi, Tamale and where she's from a happy Zabzugo, a happy Eagle other
so Ankaranamu mporo so kam
so the fire
Empire, thank you very much. That was the beautiful sounds of Dagbani with Maltiti and Hajia looking at the cost of the outfits. Went up from 400 to 600 between two festivals in the same year. So wow, it's interesting things there. I wonder how her sales were. We need to go back and do a follow-up interview on that. But Maltiti did not go to the area alone. Valerie also stepped into town in the spirit of Eid al-Adha. And she's coming through with this report. Enjoy.
Oh, nice dad. Celebrations no personal. And first that is also go to Chukwayana. Only movement to come saying.
Oh, movements in a year. Because MC no one wedding. But then I some fee say kakra obviously a bit mato beto, no beto aponche beto, no beto nimche beto. Nakobo so the MC Ramadan Drusina. MC iya sala kese Drusina mashallah Nakobo so MOB aso ne saso ne ye so. Aha so the nyame se Nakobo so mayre ama afi akwada to ye. Aha ti fisi akwoko na obi kunkra kasa alhamdulillah nyame alhamdulillah. Yes nyame da wase. Ama afi akwada to ye.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Nam.
had the poucho or a way no Niama for a market to say yet
market in this first. Market na come on first go. Mungo de man na come on first, but what dash come on first. Ba kudi gari sasa. Kadan ni market na come on first. Awu mungo de man.
Okay.
Kaya isada dollar na da sada. Allah sa dole zo kasa. Awu mungo de man.
Okay. Na haji anti then yama na ye to so far. Then ye papa mbema nyama na se ba nyama.
Ningi na ye ton both, ye ton kadra.
Okay. This is say abaya, auto abaya. Besa he. A range in price range.
Abaya wo 4 million, 5 million, 6 million.
Okay, aja na mbema no so omo capture na ya here.
Omo capture 35. 3 million, 25.
Okay. Now we can call nyama so.
Ye ton ningi na.
Okay. And that is a market na aye boss aye slow. Maybe I'll start from 4 o'clock and I china be pick up and I chamba pon kra mo hijuma.
Ochina ebe pom.
And then kwa na market ni na.
And then market.
Oh, at the end you know ubenya nja bebe before go.
Mashallah.
So then I person ka.
Inshallah.
Then I person ka Ghana for.
Oh, Ghana for. Kaka ka bibia be. Mungo de malla. Allah ke mu yawanci rai ma afani.
Inshallah. Thank you. So we've been speaking to Hajia. She has an abaya shop right here at the Nima market. The shop is called the Mashallah shop. So if you haven't shopped yet for your abaya, head over to Hajia and shop.
Valerie looked like a young Muslim lady going to buy her stuff, right in the heart of the heartbeat of commercial activity and in Accra, and where you can actually have the feel of the whole Eid. That was Nima. So those shots you saw were the Nima Highway, where a lot of activity happened, and they were looking at the preparations towards the Eid celebrations, the price of abayas, the grains, rice, the jalabia, everything was happening in that area of town. Quick comments from you before we jump into our Asin North conversations.
I mean, so grateful to God and thankful to Him for the gift of life and good health, for us to live, to have seen the season. Like we all have been sharing our concern together about moving from religiosity to righteousness. Mm-hmm. And I hope that as we celebrate, we'll move away from the form, because the slaughter we do is symbolic, and symbols have meaning behind them. So those meanings, those principles and virtues that underpin these symbolic actions are what must live with us through life. And that is the righteousness of God as expressed in sacrifice. That's one. 2, unalloyed submission to God. 3, compassion.
All right.
Compassion, especially compassion for children, and by stretch for the weak and the less fortunate of society.
Okay.
The last one is obedience to parents and respect for the elderly.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you so much. We're going to go to a Zoom right now, and I'll come back to you on that. Reverend, you're watching hashtag GTV Breakfast. Our WhatsApp number is 055-556-1034. So 2 days ago, there was an election in the central region, Asin North, and the former MP is now the MP-elect. He's yet to be sworn in. Mr. James Jechi Quason won the election with over 56% of the vote, and his victory contradicted what the polls were projecting. So we wanted to find out exactly what happened, why were the polls so different from the election itself. We have on the Zoom executive director of a company that did a poll just before this election, Global Info Analytics, Mr. Musa Dankwa. Good morning, Mr. Dankwa. Welcome to GTV Breakfast.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure. Tell us in about 30 seconds what exactly Global Info Analytics does.
We are a market research company doing business research, economic research, and also as part of our public social responsibility, we do public opinion poll, which is free for the public.
Excellent. How did you go about researching people's opinions with respect to the Asin North election?
We knew it was going to be a very keenly contested race in Asin North. So we've been there from June 6th, doing weekly tracking poll to see what is going to happen. And in all those occasions, we interviewed not less than 2,500 voters. So for the time that we've been there, we have interviewed almost 10,000 voters in Asin North.
What kind of questions did you ask them?
It depends. The baseline poll was we're asking about, who they want to elect as an MP. What do they want to speak in the districts? Then we asked about the government performance, the performance of the president, and so on and so forth. So we got a feel what the people for in the beginning. But in the last poll that we did, we asked them whether they would be influenced or swayed in their decision as to who they vote for on Tuesday because of what the government is doing there in road projects and so on and so forth. We also asked them what action they would take as citizens if someone offered them inducement to vote for a candidate. Would they take the money and vote for the person, take the money and vote against the person, or in other persons? Now, we also asked them, those who were voting for Charles, we asked them whether they were doing so purely because it is Charles, not for the MP. We asked them, how many of them who were voting for Charles, how many were influenced by the fact that education was facing a legal problem? So we had this insight. So we were able to really understand fully what people are sitting up were thinking.
So before the actual vote that took place on Tuesday, what was your projection?
Right. As a company, we didn't project. We said Charles was leading with 1.1% of the vote. But there were 6.9% of voters who were undecided. But in our conclusion, which I gave to some of the media houses, I said that even though Charles was leading, the data we've seen and the trajectory of the race suggests that James Gittukwe was going to win. And that was what happened.
From what I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Opoku, which is the MPP candidate, was supposed to be leading with a 1.1% victory, leading by 1.1%. So how does that now square with what happened on the ground, where it turns out that Mr. Kwesi had over 57%? How did that square?
Okay.
What was the 1.1% you were talking about?
Let me tell you, if you are looking at the opinion poll, and if you are not ahead above 50%, if you are leading but not below 50%, it means that people who are undecided come in and alter the race for you on the day. None of the two were leading above 50%. They were all 46.7 and 45.6. It means that the decision was taken, one, by those who were undecided, because when they all came and added to James Gittukwe, they will win. If they had gone to Charles, Charles would have won. What we saw was a clear evidence that those who were undecided were actually James Gittukwe's voters who were sitting and waiting. When they came on election day, they went and voted for Charles. I'm sorry, for James Gittukwe. And then again, there were a block of voters who were saying that they intend to vote for Charles, young voters. On the day, they didn't show up. It's one thing saying I will vote. It's another thing walking to the polling station with your voter ID card and say I'm here to vote. Opinions are not counted as valid votes on election day. That's why we saw the differences.
What conclusions have you drawn from these results that came out of the Asin North election?
I think Ghanaian voters, especially those from the swing areas, are very discerning. Doesn't matter what you throw at them. They will read in between the lines to see whether you are honest and sincere. If they conclude that you are not honest and sincere with what you are doing, they will punish you.
What recommendations would you give to political parties looking at Asin North as a test case?
In particular for MPP, they had the race in the bag, but they lost it.
How?
You shouldn't run campaign from the head office. Yes, because in the first poll that we did, Charles was leading Gittukwe 57% to 38% when it was at the local level. When Charles was involved himself when Charles was doing the one-on-one engagement with the people. But when the guys from Accra came and took over the campaign, that was it. They splashed the area with money. Charles was not speaking on the platform. He couldn't connect to the people at that point. Whereas James Titukwesi was talking to people in the villages, hand to hand, shaking them. This guy was behind the national executives and moving around.
So the human contact, the one-on-one, you think won it for Mr. Kwesi, in spite of the fact that he has a court case around his neck?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also show of opulence and extreme spending of money and vote buying put people off. People who were probably genuine MPP supporters would have been angered by that. So you have people who are moderate MPP and those who are what we call the sound MPP. The moderate MPP guys are not stupid. They can swing if they are provoked.
What other recommendations would you give to the victorious party? I mean, NDC. What is your recommendation based on this poll that you conducted, and then the actual outcome?
I think they should take opinion polls seriously. We published the polls 2 days before the election, and I think those who took the polls seriously won the election. Those who were claiming it was a fake poll, whatever it is, I think suffered.
What other polls can we look forward to from your organization, Mr. Musa?
We have the next poll coming in the next 10 days. We are doing a national tracking poll for July. And as we've been doing, we are gauging the national mood on a number of issues, including whether we should reform our constitution. It's one of the key questions we are asking Ghanaians to give us their responses to. We're also doing the typical MPP primary to see who the public want, who the MPP supporters want, and also veer into the future race, if it's between Bawumia and Mahama, and also Mahama and Alan Samati.
It will be interesting to find out what you will be polling with respect to that race in the MPP presidential primaries. But thank you so much, Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Mr. Musa Dankwah, speaking on and analyzing what led to the result that took place in Asin North. Do you disagree with him? Do you agree? Would love to know. 055-556-1034. He says basically the undecided people, the people who don't talk, the silent majority, the people who don't call radio stations, who don't call TV stations, who don't say anything, who don't respond to polls, who just go about paddling their own canoe, chopping their own house matter. Those are the people you should fear, really, not delegates. The undecided, the silent majority, because they can swing things around for you. He also spoke about how when the campaign was on the local grassroots level, it appears that Mr. Charles Opoku of the NPP was ahead. And then when the national executives were introduced into the campaign, his voice got lost. And they always say all politics is local. And so while the man was doing his house to house, it fell to the disadvantage of the other candidate who had, the blitz and the glamour and the glam from national. Your thoughts on this, Reverend? You are an academic, and so you also understand what goes into these things. I'm sure you've done your polls and your research in your academic career. Listening to what Mr. Dankwah said, especially his recommendations and conclusions, what do you think?
Samples cannot always be authentic. And so you can draw samples for people who are not stakeholders. I believe most of the opinion polls in this particular instance was flawed. Why? Because they took samples from people who were not even delegates. People that you rightly said were going on TV and were speaking, who were not going to vote
on the day.
You needed sample from the people that were supposed to be voters. And we can tell that from all indication, it shows that even very prominent people we know in this country who posters have been very positive, failed it. But having said that, I think there is a fundamental issue on this subject I want us to address. The Bible says in Psalm 11 verse 3 that if the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? What brought about this whole re-election for James Jeche Kwesi? What brought it up was simply that the man was supposed to be half Ghanaian, have
Canadian citizenship.
Now, there is an issue that I want to address. Most of us, myself, I schooled in Europe. Sheikh's son is studying in the UK. We went to ascertain certain level of academic excellence to come and serve our country. By default, some of us stayed longer. We got married there, and maybe you end up getting the citizenship of that country. That does not make us less Ghanaians. Mm-hmm. I think that if we as a people don't change this stand, it will bite both NDC and NPP big time. But I'll tell you without divulging any secret that most of the NPP leaders and the NDC leaders, their children are like me and Sheikh, whose children are studying in Europe. Our children will end up coming back with British passports. But if we don't take care, the little benefit they receive from being a Canadian citizen, an American citizen, a British or German citizen, will deprive them from the vast knowledge they have. And today, NPP is capitalizing on that unfortunate situation of James Gyekye Quayson. But tomorrow, this will be a seed they've sown that will come to harm them. And for me, I speak from that angle that we should not let the sword bite just one side. We should balance it. Then going back, so I'll be coming to you soon. These monies we spent in that election was needless. I don't blame the Supreme Court judges at all. They acted by the law. They were looking at the Constitution. So that brings us back to it that whatever loophole we have in the 1992 Constitution that has created this part of negligence into very positive thing, we should stop it. There are a lot of Ghanaians in the diaspora. I am a victim. My children will be victims. My siblings will be victims. Most men and women I know that have studied very well and have lived in Europe and they are privileged to have resident permits or British passport, American passport, Canadian passport will be victims. So it means the good ideas you have that you want to bless your nation with, you lose it.
But it's because the Constitution, you cannot go against the Constitution. And for now, our Constitution says you have to be a Ghanaian citizen.
That is why as soon as practicable, we should stop playing lip services to the Constitution. I've had a chance to speak on it. Sheikh Arimaya have spoken on it. We've been invited to institutions, we've spoken on it. There was a Constitution Revisionary Committee. The thing is that the selfishness of our leaders. Even though it was a selfish constitution that was written to favor President Rawlings, President Kufuor enjoyed it. President Atta Mills enjoyed it. President John Mama Reserve, President Nanado is enjoying it. So they are enjoying it. So we should get to that place where we realize that this thing, it's not for today, but posterity will judge us. And it's not fair on the many of us that went to school. Some of us were schooled by government money. We were on scholarships. We've come back home. I can imagine how the family of James Gyekye, but unfortunately, politicians are not smart. Politicians are not smart at all. You know what they've made out of the man? They've made him a great guy. Today, if James Gyekye Quayson decides to stand even independent for himself, he has been being great. NDC and people make money. And publicity is face. And so I think that politicians should wake up and let us all come together with a point of convergence to be able to merge this thing so that we don't sit back one day when today you are in NPP or NDC and you are happy it's happened to somebody. The day your son comes back, 29 years, 39 years, 40 years, is capable of standing for your community, for your constitution, for your village, for your constituency, and is denied because he holds another passport, then you see the privileges you've denied yourself in. We should all come up collectively to get this thing sorted out. And let me congratulate James. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that in spite of all the brouhaha and the rap that happened, it has been now proven that you really deserve it and your people love you. I'm not congratulating you because you are NDC. I'm congratulating you because Ghana has shown politics is not war. And that is one aspect we should not forget about. That politics is not war. Democracy is not war. Election is not war. When we come together like that, and the people's choice emerges, it makes politics very sweet. Congratulations, my brother, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you very much. Before I come to Sheikh, and because you mentioned Mr. James Tchikwesin, well, Graphic.com, Graphic Online is reporting that the Member of Parliament elect for Asin North, Mr. James Tchikwesin, has filed an application appealing the Accra High Court ruling for his criminal trial to be heard on a daily basis. In an affidavit signed by Justin Puara Terry Waja, Kwesin's lawyer, he argued that the High Court judge in her ruling, she erred in her ruling to allow daily trial. She committed errors of law. So a portion of his affidavit. Why am I messing this word up like that? David,
take some water.
Affidavit. A portion of his affidavit said the ruling of the court had taken a political turn, with the president making prejudicial comments on the back of the ruling. He said that the president had emphasized a comment made by the Attorney General to the effect that Tchikwesin had been irresponsible in opting to contest for a parliamentary seat when he was facing criminal charges. Quote, that apparently emboldened by the ruling of the court on 23rd June 2023, the extremely prejudicial, unjustified, and insulting remarks of the Attorney General were escalated to the level of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Quote, that at a campaign rally for the candidate of the New Patriotic Party, the President made many prejudicial remarks, including some to the effect that the voters in Asin North constituency should not vote for a candidate who could end up in prison, end quote. In the substantive case, Kwesin has filed an application for stay of proceedings pending the determination of his appeal on grounds of several errors of law committed by the trial judge, which he said breached his right to a fair trial. So the summary of all of this is that he has included the president's comments in his, he cited the president's comments in his appeal filings, which seeks to overturn the requirement that he appears to in court daily in his case. So that's the latest on James Tchikwesin. We're still talking about Asin North. I'd love to hear Sheikh's thoughts on the polling, what happened before the election, during the election, and the outcome. Was Kodio there?
I think, yeah, Kodio was there. I got information that
Coalition of Domestic Election Observers.
Yeah, we're going to deploy, but some of my colleagues were there. Went there. I'm yet to get our specific report in respect to what happened there. But I think the whole turn of event, and as the campaign got more and more heated, you could predict how things, especially in my view, a lot of sympathy. Ghanaians become emotional, put us in a certain situation. A lot of sympathy was being attracted to the advantage of Kwesin. Especially when the legal procedure, like saying that, okay, every day he must be in court, every day, even though he has to campaign. So in the minds of and the sort of communication that went on, the president himself was there. Okay, he made predictions, certain possibilities, given that, look, you're going to vote for somebody who might, in other words, he was not being definite, but he was saying that given the legal tussle, it might go that way. So it would be frivolous for you to have voted for somebody only to find out finally he ends up. So what is the use at all? Give it to the other one. But the former president also, and I listened to him very well. He's a very good communicator, and he packaged his message very well, and he was appealing to conscience and the emotions of the people.
So go beyond the election and speak to their hearts.
Exactly. But that's if you have to play it back now, and if you have somebody who analyzes communication very well, you could see, and for him, we've known him to be somebody who knows how to, So I'm sure he knew what he was doing, and I think it worked. It worked. So that has made the gentleman a political hero, attracting so much sympathy. I mean, I think that the sympathy was huge. As if he was becoming a target of a certain dislike and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's in my view, that's exactly what has accounted for his victory. But coming back to the issue, and I agree with the Reverend. I mean, even the money that we have to waste, I mean, it's needless. So from day one, I put the blame on the party. I put the blame on the EC. Yes. So if you're going to put a candidate before you, and we know that we have rules, we have regulations. Can you do due diligence at the party level and make sure that every regulation of every condition that you want to make sure that you have satisfied. So if there is anything, then you quickly want to deal with it so that you are sure that your candidate, has no. Secondly, I mean, the EC is the election management body. Okay, so are there conditions to be satisfied by anyone who puts himself as a candidate? The issue of dual citizenship, was it an issue? So can we say that, okay, candidate A, B, it appears you have an issue with your citizenship. Can you make sure you regularize that one very well, and then we can allow you? I heard one of is it Dr. Serbo, who was saying that, well, they didn't have the power to interpret the law. It's a court that has the power, and that with the approach of elections, if they had disqualified Kwesi, in fact, that would have sparked another. So for them, they had to. But I still think that they would have done their work to say, look, if by law you cannot stand the election, then let's make it clear. So now, and then he was in parliament for such a long time, only close to the end of the season of the parliament, then a ruling comes that his name must be expunged from this thing. And then also he's been taken to criminal proceedings. And I think all these things were needless. We could have saved all this. So democracy, must be enhanced and push us to another level where our electoral processes are becoming more seamless and devoid of so much of these controversies. I mean, so that when one is elected, if he loses, he loses. If he wins, he wins. So I hope that the lessons are being picked by the party itself, by the parties themselves, by the EC, and then by our courts, and hopefully 2024 is fastly coming. And let's see what's going to happen.
Let me read the president's statement on the Asin North by-election. It was posted on his Facebook page yesterday, the 28th of June. So I'm reading directly from his Facebook page. Yesterday, Tuesday, 27th June 2023, Ghana's democratic credentials were strengthened even further following the conduct of peaceful and credible elections in the Asin North by-election. I congratulate warmly the chairperson and members of the Electoral Commission again for a job well done. The security services are to be commended for maintaining law and order during the holding of the elections, as is the media for providing extensive coverage before, during, and after the elections. I congratulate the National Democratic Congress on its victory yesterday. I urge members of my party, the New Patriotic Party, to keep their heads up, recognizing that in a democracy there are winners and losers, and that we live to fight another day. We once held Asin North seat, and I am confident that sooner rather than later, Asin North will be blue again. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic, 28th of June 2023. Almost 600 comments on that post on his page. Almost 100 people shared it, and so that is the president's comment on Asin North.
I think that is a very wise. That's a very, very, very wise statement. That's very political, though. The president had to do that because we realized that the president himself was in Asin North. The vice president was in Asin North. All the executives, like the pollster rightly said, were there. We lost sight of the essence. I think that the people on the ground became irrelevant, whilst the horror was about the president and the vice president. And I think these are lessons that the leadership of both NEC, NPP, and CPP should all learn. Besides that, like I rightly said, they've all made a hero out of James. In fact, today, if James decides to stand as the running mate for John Mahama, you'll be surprised how much of acceptance he will have.
I don't think Prof. Nana will be too happy.
A friend of mine was saying that they've really projected him.
Yeah, but I mean, the sympathy attracted.
It goes so back to what I'm saying. We should realize that this is an emerging political era we have. Ghana's Fourth Republic is only 30 years. now 31 years old. So there are still loopholes we need to seal, and we should not be too stringent in the way we take decisions. Let's have a politics that is for all. Let's have a democracy that is for all. Let's have a democracy that when prosperity times comes, we will not be found wanting. And I want to once again congratulate both NDC leadership and MPP leadership. At least we've had an election, and we've also proven to the world that it's not only incumbent government that people win election on. At least that congratulation, I must say, should also go to the security services, the police. I saw police people arresting NPP people. And I think that shows that the police is being balanced. And we need to create that balance, especially the IGP, Dr. Bram Parry. I will recommend that he should be balanced enough because people are watching him.
And they did some interesting things. That they deployed drones to cover the area. They disarmed anybody. You're not supposed to carry weapons into the election area, and the movements of motorbikes was curtailed. And so they stuck by that, and they even had a meeting with the parties before the election. And I think the police deserve good commendation.
Yes, I always commend that. The head of the army, the head of the police, the head of the security services, they should always create a balance, even though they're appointed by political leaders, because they'll finish. And when you finish, the international community will be deciding how you fed, how you ruled when you were in charge. So I want to congratulate Dr. Dampare. And I say kudos to you, my brother. He's our younger brother.
Yes, so, he's a bigger brother.
He's a younger brother. So when he doesn't do it well, we'll say. When he does it well, we'll also say.
Let's also hear from the man at the center of the MP for Asin North, who says, quote, I sought, and this is from the graphiconline.com, I sought this position because of my deep commitment to the Asin North development agenda. I remain determined to mobilize resources from within and without to prosecute this agenda with all my energy, no matter the cost. So this is a statement that he made to the media. Quote, people of Asin North have spoken. They have said without equivocation that they want me to represent them in the 8th Parliament. They have told us to stop the politics and focus on solving their problems. This is a victory, not just for me and the NDC, but for justice. I'll just continue and wrap it up briefly and get your comments. I'm deeply humbled by the confidence that people have expressed in what I stand for and what I have done. I'm also fully aware of the reciprocal responsibilities that this massive show of confidence imposes on me. My solemn pledge is to work as hard as I can for the people who have made tonight possible. And he said his win was a win for the conscience of right-thinking Ghanaians who, quote, could not be bought by money. So he polled 17,245 votes, representing 57.56% of the votes, to beat his closest contender, who is Charles Opoku, the New Patriotic Party. He polled 12,630 votes, representing 42.15%. Let's not forget Benis Sepenu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, who polled 87 votes. 87 people had confidence in her. We should not discount that. People have won elections with just 3 votes. So and they have a right to express their views.
And the fact that she's even a lady, for me, that's a plus for us.
Yes, and she stood and she got.
But the ladies never vote for the ladies.
Well, some of them do. They are more than us. It's the women who bring us into power. They are more than us. A couple of messages now on 055 556 1034. K says, good morning, CAF. Any political party that underrates village dwellers in the constituency whilst focusing on people in the big towns loses elections, says K. More messages coming in 055 556 1034. Somebody is making some, this one is not prediction, so this one is almost like some kind of prophecy. It's a good morning to you all in the studio. The NDC man won in the name of the Lord, so be it. But in 2024, he will lose to MPP to win the election in 2024. Hands down, God willing, trust me. Hey, he's saying hands down, God willing, and then you say I should trust you. I think I'll trust God first. All right? All right. You see, the entire case is about constitutionality, says one of our viewers. He says, and not human feelings. There are precedents in this case. I was talking to you, Reverend, saying that we must go with the precedents when you're talking about your citizenship. But then Reverend also made the point that it's time for us to look at the Constitution and change it to benefit all of us. Okay, good morning. This is a completely different one. People live where there are no street lights, yet they pay for upkeep and maintenance of street lights. Same people enjoy the service of GBC for free. I think the government should make payment of TV license a national issue. That rather than the pay if you want, as we see now, let's put the politics aside. We can make collection of TV license effective by levying everybody like we've done to street lights. Indeed, everybody needs to enjoy the service of GBC nationwide, whether it's radio or TV. Thanks to your team, Elliot Niyemo.
We agree. Myself and Sheikh, we have paid our TV license.
Yes.
Hooray.
We have paid our TV license. Yes, we did. We paid our TV license
Awesome.
formally, and then we also endorsed it.
Yes.
If we can endorse TV license,
Yes.
GTV and GBC can be better than it is now.
Awesome. Thank you very much for paying. Okay. I paid for my seat live. You paid for only one TV. How? Are you sure you don't have two TVs in your house?
The amount involved. I have said that let's break it down. 36 CDs a year.
3 CDs
Let's break it down to monthly levels. How much does it cost?
3 CDs.
Yeah.
10 pesos a day.
I think common sense even demands that for everyone in this country who watches television, state television, that he desires that he sees the best out of it.
Sheikh, are you a friend to the GTV admin? Because this jab you've dropped, I like it. Say common sense, man.
I mean, seriously.
Oh no, we are very much for it.
I mean, seriously. So a whole year, you are watching very good programs, and you are expected to pay 36, not 50 Ghana cedis. 36. And I'm saying that, break it down on monthly basis. How much does it come to? When you buy MTN to reload your this thing, in a day, how much do you spend?
It's common sense, eh?
It's common sense. Common sense. So let's everybody pay. Let's make it a matter of conscience.
In other words, if you're paying the TV license, you are displaying the highest level of common sense.
Common sense and your citizenship, everything. I mean, you know, what is it that makes you a good citizen? I think NCCE must step up, and I call on government. Please, government, give them money.
Yes.
Let them do their work. We want good citizenship.
And Sheikh, when I sat down with the Director General last week
Yes.
to do this interview, these issues came up.
Yes.
And you see, and if you pay that TV license, then we are resourced to cover the issues that are important around the whole country, so that we can bring the information to people in the various languages, from Hausa to Tagalog.
Before you come in, look, I was in a discussion, I mean, a close conversation about this extremism, terrorism, and so on, and what to do. I mean, lessons to be learned from Ghana, and somebody in charge of security was lamenting that there is a place somewhere far in the north where, because GBC cannot be connected, the people are rather using news on small radio from across the border.
And this is a point that the Director General made, that private stations cannot go to certain places because of profit motive. But we go there, and if we don't go, there are some places we cannot get through because of resources to put transmitters there. And this is what exactly is happening. So people are relying on news.
Person in charge of terrorism and so on was really giving this lamentation. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So I mean, GBC is huge, and we must resource it. It's our responsibility, so that even in fighting terrorism, and if communication has something to do to educate and inform us about it, and for the local people there who are disconnected, I mean, whose duty is it?
If you see something,
say something.
That's why we're all on the plan on that campaign.
You know, and so I think I agree that with Reverend that let's make this one, I say, is common sense.
Yes, I like that.
You pay.
I like that one.
Your television license fees, and also 36 durable Ghanaian CDs in a whole year. Break it down on monthly basis. It comes to how much?
3 CDs.
3 Ghana cedis. Pay.
Kafui, let me borrow from Sheikh the common sense aspect. And it makes sense to me. The common sense comes at this nonsense must stop. Sense. Now, let us face it. There are a lot of private stations in Ghana now that are very selfish, that were open for certain agendas, that even the written messages and the spoken message that come doesn't educate anybody. We know the decency of GBC and GTV. Why don't we promote it? And for me, this is very important. We listen to a lot of radio stations and FM stations and TV stations, and trust me, for want of a better word, what they say is trash. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't help anybody.
Gabi.
In fact, the common sense level makes a lot of sense to me. So let us promote GBC and GTV. And that money that Sheikh has become a statistician to bring down now.
3 CDs a month.
I should give you my position. The economist should take it out. I like simplicity. I like it when we break things down. It's common sense that you know that you are sparing 3 CDs for the month. Oh my God, it's not. Even if you pay for 10 years, some of you, the things we use our monies for, we can do it. But please let us all. This is an appeal. We make this appeal passionately to Ghanaians that what we hear on our airwaves are not helping our children and are not helping us as adults. We want balanced information. We want to be educated by our media homes. And one of the places that we can all have a very decent and balanced message is GBC. So let us go ahead as a people to support this TV license. I've lived in the UK for many years. TV license is normal. Nobody fights against TV license. So if it's only 36 Ghana cedis that you can pay to get the airwaves properly cleared, please let's support GBC.
Awesome.
I stand for the TV license. And that is why myself, Lawrence Tete, and Sheikh Aremeyaw Shaibu, we have paid our own to show leadership. Let's support it.
On that note, let me remind you of the short code. We listened to the masses who said, listen, make it easier for us to pay. And we got a short code. So you don't have to go to any GDC office anywhere in this country. Just, it's on your phone. Star 447 star 333 hash. Star 447 star 333 hash. For the last time, in case you are just running out of the bathroom and you're hearing me speak on the TV and you're wondering, what did the man say? What did the man say? Well, the man said star 447 star 333 hash. It's 36 CDs for 1 set, 60 CDs for 2 sets or more. 36 CDs works out to 3 CDs a month, which works out to less than 10 pesos a day. 10 pesos a day. That's it for the whole year. And the 60 CDs for 2 sets or more works out to 5 CDs a month. It's affordable. And if you just paid, send me a WhatsApp, okay, a text on 055-556-1034. I will give you shout outs. You know, they say it's not shout out, shout outs. I'll give you shout outs, okay?
Let me add that. TV license, you know. TV license, you know, one tier. TV license, muntia.
I need Hausa now.
TV license, kuwaya bia.
Why you spoke Hausa? Your voice came down. You have to drop it in bass, eh?
Yeah.
Give it to me again.
TV license, kuwaya bia, wajibi ne kuwaya bia.
That's all. Let's go to Dangbe.
Ikpanyepe nyewo TV license so kono wanyena wa here no ne ma wa bi ke wa cheme nyewo TV license so epi 36 Ghana cedis per nyewo min panye fai ni meke na me ke wonye me fe ni bo otui nye pay a TV license e ba wa wo fe kono wo kone bi papai di ba wa wo bi ke wo hia bi fe nyuma ajonyi.
I need a Ghana one now. You just did Dangbe.
Okay. Nyefane TV license enya wo fe kome de hia base na mo ha wo ke wo bomode no pay TV license ni bi ni wota wo no kwe ni obi akwe no hia be efe akwe o ba kwe ne wo fe ni mo job ake o ba pay TV license e fa achon 36 Ghana cedis.
Let me do Ever and Pigeon. Which one should I start with first?
The Ever one. I mean, TV license ega.
Madekuku, yato. Ni TV license, yeah. Ni means to pay. Yeah. TV license, Madekuku, yeah.
So break up, finish it. Ross can give us clear fancy.
Give us what here. Don't worry, we'll record that one when we are done. We'll record that when we are done. He says Rebecca. Shall Rebecca talk for pigeons here? Guys, you know, my guys, my people, make you pay the TV license. You know, child. Charlie, 36. How much did you spend on beer? How much did you spend on doing your hair? The whole year. So make you pay the TV license. Make you develop the country through responsible media, state media, public media, like GTV, GBC, star 447 star 333 hash. Star 447 star 333#. Pay the TV license and let's make things great. Okay, more messages. 055-556-1034. Hello, King Calf. From Small World. I like the way you always bring Sheikh and Reverend together, which indeed shows religious unity and integration. It will be helpful if both Muslims and Christians come together to celebrate our respective religious festivals to really reunite us for peace and love. Above all, we serve God in diverse ways. Same God. From Small World at Nsawam. Thank you so much. Now, this is the feedback that I knew we'll get. Sheikh, with all due respect, I don't agree. The GBC and GTV don't show any better program for us to be paying 36 CDs. But you are watching a better program right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what you were saying. So what are you doing right now, my brother? Every youth in Ghana will watch alone. Listen, he says every youth in Ghana will watch DSTV due to the football leagues they show. GTV can also show some, if not all. Now, you need to understand that they don't just get up. You are actually paying DSTV and all those channels monthly for the privilege of showing the leagues that you want. And those fees are not 36 CDs for the whole year. It's not even 36 CDs for the month. All right? The premium I hear is around over 500 CDs. Okay? The reason you are not getting your GPL, for example, is that we didn't get the rights to show it. It's a legal thing. You don't just get up and start taking your cameras to a football ground and show. You have to bid for it. You know, somebody else got the bid. We didn't get it, but life goes on. But you see, your election petitions, no private station showed it.
That's right.
GBC showed it. It was on radio. It was on television. Not once, but twice. Now let me tell you something about money. We are talking 36 CDs, but satellite link that will enable you to watch GTV or GBC all around the country. The cost of the satellite link is $5 per minute. Okay? Count the number of minutes that each election petition took, multiply by $5, and you see that you're paying a lot of money, and the state does not give us that money. The state only pays salaries. The rest, we have to generate ourselves, and that's how you hear adverts on GBC radio, on television, and then you also hear us appealing that you pay the TV license so that we can fund your GPL and your EPL and all the things you want to watch, and more Ghanaian content, and getting information out in the 27 languages that we broadcast is going on. She can get it in her own language. So this is why we do this stuff. It's not just for football, all right? TV is beyond football. Life is not about entertainment alone, please. There are other important things that entertainment is good, but other important things are also there. So I get you, I feel you on that. So it's not about content alone.
If for this program alone that he watched.
Pause. He says, I agree, we will pay. I'm even watching you live now. I have repented. I will pay. Thank you. Star, you are such a great guy. We forgive you. So, thank you so much.
And that's a wise man.
That's a wise man.
I commend you.
You see, he has repented.
Yes.
He will pay. We agree. Yes. Star 447 star. Put on your phone right now. 333#.
He is forgiven by myself and
forgiven. On the Muslim side, on the Christian side, on all sides. We forgive you, my brother. Star 447 star 333#. The message just came right now. He said, "In fact, I agree. We will pay." Not even he. He said, "We will pay." So thank you so much. Give me your name so I can give you a correct shout out, please. Hooray! I've paid my TV license. This is Emmanuel Kweku and Asiedu, and he has even sent the evidence. You have successfully paid 60 CDs for 2 or more TV sets in reference to Emmanuel Kweku Asiedu. Thank you. He says, "Hooray! I've paid my TV license." If you've paid, let us know. Just send it to us, and we will show it to the rest of the world. Hello. You're watching GTV Breakfast. I'm here with Sheikh Arima Shaibu and Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. Good morning, GTV Breakfast. Is there anything like common sense? Teachers, please, another word for it. Okay, common sense is just a home sense.
Yeah,
we say home sense.
You see, it's common because it is what is expected of every human being. In other words, if you fall below, then you are something. That's why we say it is common. If you're a human being, there are certain things, just your humanness expects that this is the way you must. That's why you are different from an animal. So it is common. I expect that once you are human, certain things nobody should even tell you. It's common sense that you must do.
Very much.
That's it. Greg?
Common sense means you don't carry your shoe on your head. You are not in Pamelo.
You don't carry your shoe on your head.
Common sense means you don't put your shirts on your legs. Common sense means
as simple as that.
You have sense enough. And even mad people know that to some extent they must be decently dressed.
All right. This is an Eid question for you, Sheikh. Who eats the animals sacrificed by the over 2,000 Ghanaian pilgrims at Hajj? From Alhaji Dauda.
Oh, in those days, I think it was a bit wasteful. But now, reason again, common sense. That, look, you slaughtered this huge number of animals, you let them to rot. So they are now packaged now and distributed to the poor countries and poor parts of the world.
That's it.
Yeah, but of late, that is why they are shipped, to poor countries.
Okay. Final comments before we wrap it up, Rev?
Let us, as politicians, remember that whatever we do concerning dual citizenship might bite us one day. And I say this passionately. Today we are using it to favor one political party or another. But tomorrow, your children and your children's children will be deprived. So let us revamp our constitution so this will help people in the diaspora not to be left out.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tetteh. Sheikh?
I think that our judicial system must take this one very seriously to include it into our electoral adjudication manual, so that whenever it comes, we know how to handle this. And secondly, I call on the parties themselves to be responsible and be due diligence for any candidate they put front, to satisfy the conditions very well and be confident that, look, the candidate we are putting there, and then the EC must also do its due diligence with respect to any person, even including the political parties, that must satisfy certain conditions. Let us not wait until elections close before we disqualify certain political parties. It can generate sort of problem. So that's
please, before I forget, I'm appealing to the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that they should discontinue the court case for James Gyekye Quayson. So we have a smooth politics. And it's within the president's powers to discontinue that. So that at least we'll have a decent politics. I think we don't need that battle anymore.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been great. Last comment. Please, I want to pay for 5 years. How much? Well, 36 times 5 will give you, I think, 180. And 60 times 5 will give you 300 cedis. So if you have one set and you want to pay for 5 years, 36 times 5 is 180. If you have 2 sets or more, you want to pay for 5 years, 60. We then will take the money. 60 times 5, 300 cedis. Thank you so much for your messages. This is #GTV Breakfast. Your WhatsApp number is still there, 055-556-1034. We have coming up unearthing talents with a really wonderful and talented Ghanaian musician, Star T. And then we have a conversation on armored bullion vans. So there's a July 1 mandate that if you're going to transport a...
And like the name rightly suggests, the first thing you see when you get here is this toll road directly behind me. For a couple of months now, this road
Oh, this we can start again. I will start again. Then, hold on, stand by. Mary, should I start? Thank you so much. You're still watching #GTV Breakfast, and welcome to the Dansoman Enclave. And this where I am is the Dansoman First Stop. And like the name rightly suggests, the first thing you see when you arrive here is this roadworks, which have been stalled for a couple of months now. Residents here are not really certain why the roadworks are stopped, but I understand this is about the 3rd time that they are trying to fix this year, Gata. And unfortunately, the workers have abandoned the site, and you see the sand upon the road. Now what happens is when there's rush hour, for instance, it causes a lot of traffic, and when vehicles get here, it creates a lot of havoc for them. You realize that with the vehicles that are trying to now negotiate the curve at the moment, when they get here, they have to slow down because vehicles coming from the other side have to also have the right of way. So if you're in a situation where somebody doesn't want to give you the right of way, then it creates a tough time. Some of the residents here tell me because of the situation, whenever it's around, when it's peak rush hour, unless the police come in and get involved, you realize that some of the drivers are hurling insults upon themselves because all of them want the right of way, and the traffic can go as far back as the hospital junction. What you're looking at the moment is the state of the roadworks, so then where they have to use this side. So what you see is like we are right at the Dansoman post office, and the drivers are finding a hard time trying to negotiate this curve. There are a few people here who would like to say a few words and express their frustration with the way things have turned out. I have one resident in the area with me. Let me just speak to him briefly. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, I'm fine.
Please, your name is?
Yes, I'm Nana Kwesi Boama.
Nana Kwesi. So do you usually use this side of the road?
My shop is just here.
Your shop is just here?
Yes.
So what do you make of this situation?
I don't understand. You see, here, the big trucks that pass here, because I've been here for almost 30 years, so I'm in Dansoman boy. The big trucks, when they demolish some buildings at maybe the other places, they all pass here to go and just dispose the sands at